Okay. Alrighty, so we'll go ahead and get this stuff kicked off. Let me go here live, and how do I know I started streaming this somewhere. What do you mean you do not have permission to go? I swear. This stuff, you want to stop me from going live on YouTube again. Google's always getting in the way. Have any of you guys wrapped up your bonuses? You guys got all your 3x3 done and all that? Where you at with that stuff? Yeah? Come on.
I'm done.
Good.
With that part.
You good with that part? Ain't it interesting? The 3x3 is the easy part to get done, and then the licensing is what people take they time on getting. It's interesting, but that is going to be the fun part tonight. We're going to complete this life insurance class. So tonight we're going to be going over retirement accounts, retirement and other insurance. All right, so let's go live. Preparing live stream. I just gotta make sure we are live here on YouTube first. As we get this stuff kicked off, then we'll go trying to get this process started.
I did get the notification across mine that it says it's being live streamed.
Okay, perfect, good. You guys are live on my OnlyFans. So if you got feet pics, show them up. What? Get some new subscribers. Become a channel member now. All right, now so let's go through here. So we are gonna go live, and let me share my screen here. Okay, now we're going to have to get this stuff kicked off. All right, guys, so everyone that's joining us, welcome back to Chapter 4. If you're new to the YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe, like, share with everybody, and take some notes. Tonight, we're going to be going through Chapter 4, Retirement and Other Concepts. This chapter is going to go by rather fast. There's a couple meats to this. Again, a lot of this vocabulary, so I'm going to give you what I can. But a lot of this, Latoya, is going to be you going back and actually reading it for yourself again. So let's talk about this. First one is earned income. Earned income is money that has to be earned through wages, commissions, or salary, okay? There's a couple different types of income you can have, such as you can get passive income through dividends, capital gains. If you sell your investments, you have passive income through your real estate or so forth. But I want you to write the word earned income, and I want you to just write Roth IRA, because that Roth IRA and traditional IRA, just right next to it, because you're gonna need that for that right there. Okay, another term is first in, first out. Gina, that means when you put money into an account, if you were to pull money out of there, it's gonna be taxed. Based off the first dollar in is the first dollar out that's going to be taxed. And then gross income, obviously that's what you make from your W-2 job. Gross income is before taxes. Last income, last in, first out. That's principal applied to asset management to life insurance products, which it is assumed that funds are paid into a policy will be last in, first out. Again, that's going to be based off an annuity. I'll come back into that process later. Nonprofit organization. Stephanie, that is when an organization that uses surplus to fulfill its purpose instead of distributing the surplus to owners or its members. Policy endowment, remember that happens in whole life insurance policies. Maturity date is at 100 years old. Pre-tax contributions. These are contributions that are made before federal or state income taxes from earnings. Pre-tax contributions, those are generally your 401k, your 403b, your TSAs, your TSPs. Those are retirement accounts. Again, we'll go into that. Rollover. Rollover is money you withdraw from one qualified account to put into another. An example, Stephanie, if you leave one job and you have a 401k, you traditionally will roll that over into your new job's 401k, or you roll it over into what is called a non-contributory IRA. Surrender. This is when you terminate the policy early. Remember last night we went over those acronyms, which cash surrender, which means you cancel the policy. Vesting. This is the time period in which participations have to work at a job. Like if you ever have a job that matches you, there are something called vesting requirements, which means you have to stay at the company long enough to actually make sure you get all the funds. So if you've ever left a job and you say, oh, the company gave me X, or you were expecting X, but maybe you left a little bit too soon, and they said, no, you weren't here the whole time, so we're not going to give you all of it. So those are called vesting requirements. Tax deductible. These are reductions of a taxable income resulting in a tax liability. Meaning if you're a business owner, you can have tax deductions. Or if you have money going to a certain account, maybe you can deduct taxes from your income from it. Taxable. Obviously, anything you grow interest on, anything you buy, you pay interest. You know, in America, you pay taxes generally 8 times on the same dollar in 8 different ways. When you think about that, welcome to America. Gino, let's talk about tax deferred. These are investments that at a later date, you're going to pay taxes on. Your 401k, your 403bs, your TSAs, your TSPs, those are called tax deferred. So when you get your money, like if you have a 401k, they take the money out of your check before you even get it and they invest it. So the growth that's going to happen on that money, you're not paying taxes on it until you start to withdraw it. So that is when your taxes are deferred to a later date. Any questions on these? Nope. Okay, perfect. Let's go into third-party ownership. Most policies are written where the insured and the owner of the policy is the same person. However, there are situations in which contracts may be owned by someone other than the insured. These types of contracts are known as third-party ownership. Third-party ownership is a legal term used to identify an individual or entity that is not the insured of the contract, but is legally enforceable rights under. Most policies involving third-party ownership are written in business situations or for minors in which the parents own the policies. Okay. Life settlement. What are we talking about with life settlement? Let's see what this is talking about. Let me just scroll through. Okay. So life settlement refers to any financial transaction in which the owner of a life insurance policy sells the insurance policy to a third party for some form of compensation, usually cash. A life settlement would require an absolute assignment. You remember, absolute assignment is a transfer of ownership. That is when you're going to transfer complete all your rights of ownership to someone else. Policy owners may choose to sell their policies because they no longer feel they need their coverage, and premium costs have grown too high to justify the continuation of the policy. In many cases, however, life settlement transactions are offered to senior citizens who have life-threatening illnesses or short life expectancy. In these situations, the owner may elect to sell their policy to a life settlement provider for an amount greater for which they would receive if they surrender the policy for its cash value. Let's go through an example of this. A person age 70 who owns $1 million insurance policy, he recently sold his business for $5 million and he decided he no longer needs insurance coverage. The cash value is $390,000, and the policy owner, if he would cash out the policy, would $390,000. A life settlement provider may offer him $575,000. Once the ownership is transferred and policy owner has received his funds, the life settlement company will assume the premium payments until the insured dies, which the life settlement company will receive the proceeds. So that's pretty big investment. You give someone $575,000 up front, and you're going to cash out on the other $425,000 when they die. Good rate of return. You just better better hope you don't have to keep paying them premiums for a very long time. Any questions on that? That's pretty straightforward, right? Okay. Let's talk about definitions. When would you need to enter a life settlement option? Because life settlements are not involved in establishment of new insurance coverage, the Life Settlement Act defines terms that are not in conflict with the sale of the original coverage, but which accurately identifies the distinction of life settlement business. Some of more important definitions are as follows. The term business of life settlement refers to any activity relating to the solicitation and sale of life settlement contracts to a third party who has no insurable interest. Remember, insurable interest must only be applied at the time of the application. You can only get an insurance policy as somebody if there's an insurable interest. The term owner refers to the owner of the policy in which they enter a life settlement contract. The term does not include insurance provider, qualified institutional buyer, financial entity, special purpose entity, and related provider trust. Let's just keep this simple, guys. The insured, obviously, is going to stay the same person who bought the policy. Life expectancy. They're going to go into, if you're going to buy a policy from somebody, if you're that investor, you want to hope that they're not going to live much longer to buy that policy from them. So they're going to go into the life expectancy of the insured. Life settlement contract establishes the terms under which life settlement providers will pay compensation to the policy owner in return of assignment, transfer, release of the portions, the death benefit, any beneficiary's interest. Okay. Life settlement broker is a person who, for compensation, solicits, negotiates, or offer life settlement contracts. Just imagine that job. Imagine you just got to go out there looking for old people. Say, hey, you got some insurance you want to sell us? Life settlement provider is a person other than the owner who enters the life settlement contract. Any questions on that? Anything we need to go over? I think it's pretty, again, understanding. All right, let's talk about group insurance. This one's actually, let's go through, okay. So group insurance, let's talk about this. Group insurance is coverage that you do not own, your company owns it. I'm going to give you all this right here and just bullet points. Group insurance, it provides insurance for the entire group. As long as you enroll under the enrollment period, there's no evidence of insurability required. Make sure you write that out. There's no evidence of insurability required as long as they enroll during the open enrollment period. The participants in the plan get what is called a certificate of insurance. You get a certificate of insurance. The company, the owner of the policy, they get what is called the master contract or master policy. The employee or participant in the group insurance policy, they do not have control over this. And what kind of insurance is it? It is known as annually renewable term insurance. Remember, we went over that in chapter 1 on Monday, that annually renewable term insurance does not require that you go through any medical process, but your cost does go up every year. What are the benefits of an insurance your company having group insurance? If your company offers you insurance, that becomes a tax deduction for the company. So instead of giving money to the government, they say, hey, we'll pay for your life insurance coverage. So it gives the company a tax deduction, and it makes the employee feel like they actually care about them. Okay. The things we want to look at group insurance, they are generally not convertible to personal plans, but for the sake of the exam, it is. Your life insurance policy at your job is convertible. If you leave your job, you generally have 30 to 31 days to convert it to a policy. It will be converted to a permanent policy at that time. So Gina, if you go from your annually renewable term policy at your job, you quit your job or you leave it for whatever reason, you can convert it to a whole life policy. You do not have to go through any medical questions. And your premiums will go up because it's going to go based off of your new age, and the company is no longer paying a portion of your premiums. And I pretty much went through what I just went through without having to read all that. So one thing that they do kind of touch bases on here, the purpose of the group is that they want to take an average for the cost of it. They take the average age of the group and ratios of men and women. The insurance company actually wants a healthy turnover rate. They want the old people out, new people, young people in. That's actually what they say in this test. They want the turnover to be steady. Younger people, lower risk, right here, and employees with higher risk leave. That's funny. Any questions on this? If you took every little bullet point I just gave you, that's all you need to know about group insurance, except this last part right here. Contributory versus non-contributory. Let's give you the definition. The employer or group sponsor plan pays all the premiums or share the premiums with their employees. When an employer pays all the premiums, the plan is called non-contributory. So when you're thinking who does not contribute to it, the employee. So non-contributory plans is your employer paying all the payments, but it requires 100% eligible employees be included in the plan. So if you just kind of write that, non-contributory is the employer paying all the policy, and it must require 100% eligibility for employees to be included. The other one is called contributory. When the premiums of a group plan are shared between the employer and employees, this one is called contributory. Under a contributory plan, the insurer will require 75% of eligible employees be included in that plan. How are we doing? Am I good to move on to the next page? Okay. All right, let's get into the meat of this process. This one is called retirement account. Let me just scroll through this real quick so I don't get too ahead of myself. All right, we're going to spend some time on this page. This is probably going to be the meat of our session tonight. So let's go through the differences between IRAs. Get your pen and paper handy. We're going to be taking a lot of notes on this one. So the two types of IRAs, traditional and Roth IRAs. Traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs can only be contributed through earned income. Again, earned income is your money you make from wages, commissions, or salary. Contributions to a traditional IRA with pre-tax dollars are tax deductible. So when you say traditional IRAs, contributions are tax deductible. Contributions to a Roth IRA, which are after tax dollars, are not tax deductible. So if we were to look at this, traditional IRAs, again, that's what I'm looking for. Traditional IRAs are tax deductible, earned income. Roth IRAs, after tax dollars. What does that mean? When you contribute to a Roth IRA, it's money you've already been taxed on. So traditionally in a 401k, your money is invested before you've even got taxed on it. In a Roth, you've already paid tax on the money. So any of the money that it grows into is going to be tax free. And I'll break that down a little bit more in detail here. So let's move through here. So in the limits every year the IRS updates how much money you can contribute to a traditional or a Roth IRA. Hey Siri, what are the IRA contributions for 2024? Okay. So write this down. So I got you. So contribution limits for a traditional and Roth IRA under 50 is $7,000 for the year. If you're 50 or older, which is none of us on this call, if you're 50 or older, you can pay $8,000 a year. The reason they allow you to put up to $8,000 a year is because that is called the catch-up period. That is a phrase you want to know. That is called the catch-up period. 50 or older, you're able to put in $1,000 more. If you somehow max out your IRA and you put in excess of $7,000 or $8,000, excess contributions will be taxed at 6% a year as long as the excess amount remains in the IRA. And if I highlight it, write it down. Make sure you get that. Okay, distributions from an IRA. If it's prior to 59 and a half, the government, the IRS, will tax you with a 10% tax penalty on what you've contributed to it or whatever you've earned money on. So if you take out money before 59 and a half out of an IRA, you will be taxed 10% penalty on any of the income that is generated from there. Okay, there are certain conditions under which 10% penalty of early withdrawals will be waived that it does not hurt you. So if you're 59 and a half, they won't hit you with the 10% penalty. If you're totally disabled and you start pulling out of it, they won't penalize you. This is the benefit for you to know. The money can be used for a down payment on a home for first-time home buyers. If you plan on buying a house, you should open up an IRA. You can put up to $7,000 a year into there for you and your spouse, by the way. And you can use that money for first-time home buyer as long as the account is 5 years old. You don't want to put the money into a Roth IRA today and say, okay, 3 months and I'm ready to buy my house, I'm going to pull $10,000 out of it. You don't want to do that because you're going to put yourself in a market that could fluctuate. You could lose money, fees. You wouldn't do that short term. You can also use withdrawals for secondary education. So if you just say, hey, I'm going to go back to school, I'm going to go do this, you can use a portion of your money. Or you can do for withdrawals for catastrophic medical expenses or upon death. I know I gave you a lot there, but I want you to know this because this is actual information you can use in the field. All right, the following taxations apply to Roth IRAs. Remember I said traditional IRAs, your contributions are tax deductible. Roth IRAs, your contributions are not tax deductible. And again, excess contributions are 6% penalty if you do that. Any questions on IRAs? Okay, so I want to give you...
I have a question. I want to make sure I heard this right. You said so 50 and under is the maximum is 7,000. 50 and older is 8,000.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep. No. So another thing you want to do this on Roth IRAs. The money it grows tax deferred. So remember, at 59 and a half, when you're supposed to take this money out, your money's going to be taxed then. And a Roth IRA, your money grows tax free. So let's just say, give you an example in a Roth IRA, you put $7,000 in 1 year. 2 years later, your money's at $14,000 and you didn't contribute any more. We're just gonna say that 7 to 14. If you left that money alone and the account was open for at least 5 years, you don't owe any taxes on the growth. That is why everyone in a middle income families should open up a Roth IRA. Okay, contributions are tax deductible. I just said that, not the. The other portion we want to know in here. You see where it says payouts must begin by age 73? You want to write that down. And a traditional IRA, you must start to take withdrawals by 73 years old. And in a Roth IRA, there is no minimum age requirement. The reason they have an age requirement on this is because Roth IRAs are not that old. They're not new, but they're not that old. So this is the way to force you to start taking money so the government can tax you on it. I'm pretty sure there's more of a political answer to have that, but you already know your boys want their money. Okay, so let's just say you roll over your money from one account to another. Anybody ever left a job before and you had a 401k and you're like, okay, some people cash it out, which if you can always avoid, I would recommend. But hey, life happens. Sometimes you gotta cash some things out. But if you were to leave an employer, you have 60 days to roll that over if they distribute a check to you, because they will now consider that a penalty. They'll consider that income. There are two ways to do a rollover. It is a rollover from one account to the next where you don't even touch the check. And then there's one where they send you the money and then the company, you reinvest it at that point. If they send you the check and you deposit it into your account, you have 60 days to reinvest that, to roll it over into a new fund. Otherwise, you're gonna get hit with a 20% tax penalty. I wanna give you an example of how your 401k works. Let's just say you have 10 grand in your account and you leave your job. You say, I'm gonna cash this out. The IRS is gonna hit you with a 20% penalty right off the top. Plus the IRS is gonna hit you with that early with distribution of 10% penalty. So 30% of your money like that is gone. So out of the 10, 3,000 is gone just because you take the money. That's an expensive paycheck to take. So that is known as what is called a rollover, a direct rollover from one company to the next. That is all we need to know about IRAs and Roth IRAs. Make sure you subcategorize these. The next one is called plans from employers. These are plans that your employer will offer you. First one is called your self-employed plans. HR10 and Keogh plans. I'm gonna give you the summarized version of this. Keogh plans are for self-employed business owners that own 10% of the company. That HR10, that 10 stands for 10% ownership of the company. This is similar to your 401k type stuff, but it's taxed the same way. You set up a Keogh plan, as long as they own 10% of the money, you can put money away for this and set it up like a corporate retirement account or a pension plan. That money that you'll start withdrawing. Let's see this. Upon participant's death, payouts are available immediately. If participants become disabled, he or she can collect benefits immediately, or funds can be left to accumulate. All right. That's all you need to know. Keogh plans, HR10s, 10% business ownership, they're all taxed the same way. They're tax deferred. If you pull out before 59 and a half, your 10% penalty. Okay, this is something you want to know. If you want to be eligible for retirement accounts at your employer, there's 3 things you need to know. Under eligibility, you must be at least 21 years of age. You must have worked at least 1,000 hours a year. It used to be 2,000. Golly, well, it's gotten soft. And you must have worked there for at least 1 year. You want to write those 3 things down. Participants in group plans, at least 21 years of age, at least 1 year or more of working there. and at least 1,000 hours a year. Well, how much? 52 divided by 1,000. That's only 19 hours a week. I know it's gotten soft. The freak. 1,000 hours is not part of full time. I don't know what they do. Okay, next one is going to be called Simplified Employee Pension Plans. These are what are known as called SEPs. These are super attractive when you're sitting down with individuals who do not qualify for a Roth IRA. See, the Simplified Employee Pension Plan is a type of qualified plan suited for small employers. A SEP maintains an individual retirement account for employers' contributions. Employer contributions are not included in the employee's gross income. The primary difference between a SEP and an IRA is much larger than the amount of contributions. The IRS has established that 25% of your income can be put away. Hey Siri, what are the SEP contribution requirements for 2024?
For these plans that are still in operation, a participant's elective deferral contributions are limited to $23,000 in 2024, $22,500 in 2023.
So it says you can put up to $23,000 a year away tax deferred in a SEP, or 25% of your income, whatever is less. All right. Next one is going to be called Simple Plans. Things we want to know about this. This is for private employers that have no more than 100 employees who receive at least $5,000 in compensation from their employer during the previous year. To establish a simple plan, the employer must not have any qualified plans already. So they can't have a 401k, a SEP, and an IRA in place. Employees who elect to participate may defer a specified amount. The employer then makes matching contributions dollar for dollar in the amount equal to 3% of the annual compensation. Taxation is deferred.